Alright, so today we're making a timer and we're doing two different types of timers. I'm first going to show you a simple way to make a timer that displays a time on screen. And that same technique can be used to make timers in your code as well, although that's a little bit messy. So we're also going to be looking into using coroutines for saying wait a X number of seconds inside of your code. So first things first, I'm going to add a text mesh pro here, just a little bit of text. And we're going to add a script to that that's just going to show how many seconds have passed since we started up the game. So we'll make a quick text mesh pro UGUI. We'll call that text. We'll give that a value of text equals get component in the start function. And we'll make a float for the time. And then an update, what we'll do is we'll make time plus equals. So we're going to add something to the existing value of time. And what we're going to add is time with a capital T dot delta time. So that's the time between the current frame and the last frame. Usually that's like 1/60th to 100th of a second. We'll store that in this variable here. And then we can update text.text to be equal to a math function called floor, which just always rounds down your number. And in that we'll put in, of course, our time variable, and then we'll make that a toString to make it a string so that we can put it into the text. And I made a mistake because setting the text is not a function. We just put in a equal sign for that. And now when we go back into the game, we'll be able to see that that text in the top left corner is just going to be a timer of how long the game has been running. So we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. This same ID you can of course also use in a timer for gameplay. So when you pick something up, you toggle a bool variable, which allows the time variable to start counting up. Then you check whether or not the time is greater than a certain time that you want to check. And if that's the case, you do the functionality that you've been waiting for. If you think that sounds overly complicated and messy, you would be correct. So we have a much better way of doing that. So we're going to go to the key door opener script here. And we're going to change a couple of things around because we had this event that gets invoked, and that event will, in this case, delete the doors around that key. And then we destroy the game object. So before we invoke, we're going to put in a timer that says you're going to wait, let's say 2 seconds before invoking all of those things. And the way we do that is we say we start a coroutine. And the coroutine takes in a method name, so a function, as its parameter. But not just a normal function, because normally when we make a function, we call it something like private void, like let's call it wait, right? But that's not gonna work. Instead, what we want to do is we want to make a I enumerator and call that invoke event in this case. This needs a return path. That's a little bit weird because the way we return here is we return with yield, return, new, and then we can, in this case, go for wait for seconds. Any code we put after this is going to run after 2 seconds. That would be the on pickup invoke and the destroy. And then we simply put in the invoke event. We have to use a string for the name of the method that we're going to call. And now what's going to happen here is we have the on trigger enter 2D. We already had that. We create the UI. We actually also want to put this into the coroutine, I realize now. So everything is going to go into the coroutine, which is going to start by waiting for 2 seconds and then proceeding to do all the other code. And since we have a handy timer in the top left, we can actually check. That's 5, it's 1, 2, and now it does the code that we put into it. Now, of course, you can also put in some other code before it. So code goes here. Or even within the enumerator, any code you put before the wait for seconds will happen before the waiting. So if we, for instance, say we print just a simple string called picked up. Now when we're running a game here, you'll be able to see that as soon as we make contact with the key, the message will pop up down here in the console, but all the other code will wait 2 seconds before it will run. So we have the message, and now we have the doors being destroyed. And of course, we can also put in a variable there. So if we want to make a float, wait timer, and by default set that to 2, but make it something different sometimes. We can put in our wait timer here. That can be a variable. That's no problem. And a very big thank you to all of my Patreons. You can see them on screen right now. If you want to help out supporting the channel, there's a link down below.